Hi, I'm Diana from Diana Marie Home, and I'm so excited to be back for week 5 of my garden tour. I say this every week, but I cannot believe that we are in week 5. Last week I couldn't believe it was a month. So anyways, there's been a lot of change in the garden this week, so I've been really excited for this garden tour. I actually even considered filming it a day early because I've been so excited. But it's Thursday here in upstate New York. It is hot here. It's actually 6:30 at night. I was waiting, hoping that it might cool down a bit, but I just checked. It is 92 degrees Fahrenheit at 6:30 at night. We have a heat advisory, so it is what it is. Yeah, so with that being said, let's go check out the garden. First, I have to show you how good the flower boxes are looking. They are so filled in, and they really seem to like this spot. They have a little ledge, so they get a lot of sun, but also a lot of shade, and we've just been having such hot weather, which is really not super typical for New York to have this hot of weather for a long period of time, so I'm happy with how well they're doing here. I also planted the flowers that I got a little bit over a week ago. They were really struggling before I planted them the other night because of how hot it's been, so I'm hoping that they make it. I had a few that I planted, but I think they might have already been dead. So really hoping these guys pull through and fill in. This one had been planted already, and you can see the little zinnia seeds popping through. I had planted the silver star, and I think this is the silver dust from the greenhouse, but then these were just little zinnia seeds that are coming through, so I'm excited for that. I love zinnias, and if you're wanting to grow some flowers, try out zinnias and cosmos and sunflowers. I highly recommend. They're so easy. This is an example of one that might not make it. I kind of threw those over back in here, but some other zinnia seeds that I planted a couple weeks ago, and they're doing good too. I tried to transplant one, and oh, the flowers in this pot are just struggling, but it's okay. And the rocking chairs have been getting enjoyed out here, which is awesome. Some more plants, and the sunflower and mint is doing well. And we've also got some zinnias popping through there. I was worried they were getting shaded out, which they kind of still are, but hanging in there. So everything is doing good on the patio. Moving along to the herb garden, the sunflower is doing awesome. And what else? I think last week we saw the dill starting to come through. That's still growing really well. The cilantro that I've been trying to plant has not made it, so I've been wanting to start some more seeds of that. I'm thinking about doing some seeds in the greenhouse. Even though it feels late in the season, what I've been learning is that you can still grow a lot of things. It's just not being marketed that way because the stores are moving on to sharing new things for the fall season. So there's still a lot of seeds that can be planted even mid-July into August, and so I've been working on figuring out what those things are so I can get them started. But I want to get them started in the greenhouse so I can see if they grow or not, because out here with everything else growing, it's easy to lose track. Like a week or two ago we planted some chamomile, and maybe that's it, but that looks like more like dill to me. I think we planted around this area, and I don't see it. I don't see it there, so I want to start it in the greenhouse so I know exactly what things are, will be labeled, get started, and then I can transplant them out. So over here is the lettuce garden. This is the lettuce bed that actually grew, but I mentioned that I was having a hard time. Bugs were eating at the leaves, and my friend Sherry from Country in the City shared to put pepper, just regular ground pepper. I think she said to dissolve it in some water. I kind of just sprinkled it on the leaves because, yeah, I was lazy. So we'll see if that works. I just did it last night or the night before. But, I mean, this leaf is looking pretty good with no bug holes in it. So it's promising and worth a try because, I mean, pepper's cheap, right? I also have a succession planting of radish in here, but it's been so hot. I'm not sure how they'll do. We'll see. A lot of my gardening is just experimenting, and so I'm okay. I don't have any expectations for my gardening, I guess could say, other than learning and growing along with my garden. So I see what works, I'll do that again, I'll see what doesn't work, and I'll tweak it and keep trying. The flower garden is also looking really well. It's still filling in. I believe these might be some cosmos coming up, zinnias. I'm really thinking this is my amaranth. Pretty positive about that, which also needs to be pruned. So what I'm going to be doing is coming in here and just pinching the top right off. And now that will encourage sprouts, just like I talked about the basil last week in week 4. It will encourage sprouts to come out the side. Instead of just creating one big flower, it'll create multiple ones. So I'm going to go in and pinch the tops off of all of these. I won't bore you with that. We'll skip over to the bean garden, and something really exciting over here. So when these seeds, when I first planted them, the purple seeds really took off more quickly than the green bean seeds. But what was interesting was my green beans actually started producing sooner. So you can see a little tiny baby green bean here, and over here we have one. I've been saving this for you guys to show you. Actually, there's 3 little babies there. I've been saving this one. I didn't see those other 2 until just now. These guys are already starting to produce beans, so I'm really excited about that. We've picked 2 already actually out of here, and now that you guys have seen that, I'll pick this one. There is nothing better than fresh vegetables from the garden, and these beans are so flavorful. I bought some strawberries today from the grocery store, and they're good, but man, after you have fresh vegetables from your garden, you notice a taste difference. There's just so much more flavor in things that you grow in your own garden. So this is going to be enjoyed. Haven't seen any baby peas or beans on the purple bean plants yet, but they look good, so it's only a matter of time. And here's our little dragon tongue bean plant. I'm going to be planting some more. I think this is another one. I don't label things very good, but we did the dragon tongues later, so they're the smaller ones, I'm pretty sure. But I'm going to go in and fill in some of the empty spots with more dragon tongue beans. This bed that has a few radishes, zucchini, and onions and peppers, it's doing pretty good. So something that I wanted to show you, so you can see over here we're getting little baby zucchinis that it's only a matter of time. Once they start growing like this, they grow so quickly. So within days, I could really pick these right now if I wanted to. I'm gonna give them another, maybe day or 2, but they go from this little guy to this within days, and they just grow so fast, so you got to keep an eye on them. But what I wanted to show you was this guy over here. I talked last week about pollination. This is an example of a zucchini that did not get pollinated. You can see how it just rotted right on the plant. That's just because it didn't get pollinated. So what you can do is you can help the plant pollinate if you're worried about it. What I think it was that was one of the very first fruits that this plant set, and the male and female flowers were not opening at the same time. So I had a few that did not get pollinated and just died off, but then I noticed the following zucchinis were working out really well. So I think it was just the plant getting started up, and a matter of timing, not a lack of pollination from our bees, because the bees have been good to us so far. So also Sherry shared that this is powdery mildew. I get this on my squash plants every year, but she shared that I could mix some baking soda with water, and then I also read somewhere that you can put a little dish soap in there too. So I did that. I mixed baking soda. What I read was a tablespoon of baking soda to a gallon of water. I did a little more. I'm not big on measuring, so I did a couple scoops with my hand of the baking soda into some water with just a drop or 2 of dish soap, and sprayed it on there. But I just started that last night, so I'll do that probably every day, just to hopefully stop the spread from that mildew. Buttercup, you can't be in here. You're gonna eat my zucchinis. Go on. You gotta go. Here's another zucchini almost ready to pick. I'm so tempted. You know what? Let's pick this one. Is this the biggest one? Yeah. I want to pick this just to show you. So with the zucchini, I usually just gently twist until it comes right off. That's how I pick them. You could probably get in there with snips, but that's usually just what I do. And I am so excited for this. I'm probably gonna cook this up for breakfast tomorrow. I'll go put that with my pea. I know this doesn't look like a lot, but this is so incredibly exciting for me. So exciting. Oh, and then there's some little peppers on these pepper plants over here. You'll see one here, over there, back there there's one, right there. So these pepper plants aren't very big. You'll see one over here too, but they have some good sized peppers on them. They started producing peppers earlier compared to these pepper plants over here that are big and beautiful and bushy. These are just starting to get little baby peppers on them. I want to talk about this a little bit because if you guys remember, the pepper plants in this bed that are big, green, and bushy, I pinched most of these, just like I did that amaranth. When they were younger, I came in, pinched the top off, and that encouraged them to branch out like they're doing now and get really big, bushy plants. But it delayed them in setting fruit. Where over here, I didn't pinch these plants, and so they didn't get big and bushy, but they set peppers quicker. Here's why I did a little bit of both. These guys set peppers quicker. I'll get peppers from these plants sooner, but I won't get as many. Whereas over here, it's gonna take a little longer to get peppers from these plants, but look at all those flowers up there. I'm gonna get so many more from a single plant compared to the ones that I never pinched. So you have to decide what's right for you. I pinched my pepper plants last year and they didn't have enough time to grow peppers to maturity. So that's why I did a little bit of both this year. I think I didn't get peppers last year because of timing. I think I was too late with either pinching or planting. So I just wanted to show you that comparison. Potatoes are doing really well. And when I was weeding the other day, I actually noticed I planted an okra down here and I actually labeled it. It's getting pretty shaded, so I'm not sure how this is gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna get any okra this year because I think, I don't know what it is. I know this one's okra, but over here in my corn patch, I was thinking this was okra, even though it wasn't labeled. I think this is a weed. I'm really not sure. I think I'm babying weeds here. And then over here, I had labeled okra, and I was thinking this was the okra, but maybe it's that. I don't know. I've never grown okra before. Another reason why I think this is a weed. The other problem is I just planted so many seeds and didn't label, and then I planted a lot of flowers. Like this is a zinnia, and I don't know what they all look like when they're growing, so I'm hesitant to weed things that I don't know for sure are weeds because I don't want to be weeding the flowers that I planted. So keep you guys updated on the okra. And then the corn's doing awesome. I'm not sure if this is gonna work, but I noticed that I had some bugs eating the leaves of my corn. So don't want that. So I sprinkled some pepper on them last night. I'm not sure if it will work or not, but we'll see. The tomatoes are doing really well. It's been really hot today, so some of them look a little stressed out. If their leaves are curled, that just means they're stressed, and it's usually because they need some water, but it can also be caused from things like pesticide or using manure that has pesticide in it. I know they're stressed right now because they need water. This tomato plant has little baby tomatoes, which makes me so excited because I love coming out and getting fresh tomatoes from the garden. The trellising system is working so well so far. I'm really happy with it. But you guys know I was late to trellis them. They were supposed to be trellised sooner, and because I was too late, this poor little guy bent over and the base snapped. I thought he might be able to pull through, but it's not looking that way. He's definitely dying. This is not from needing water. So what I did was I shared a couple weeks ago about how to prune the suckers off of your tomato plants. I actually purposely left a couple to show you what you can do if your tomato plant dies and you need another tomato plant, but it's too late to start one from seed. Here is a tomato plant where a huge sucker started growing. I would not have let it get this big, but I really wanted to wait until the garden tour to show you how to do this. I mean, this sucker is already growing its own sucker. So normally you would cut it off sooner. I actually might have one. I think I have another one that I'll show you too. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go in, I don't want that, and I'm just going to cut this sucker off. I'm just gonna do it right here. This is a sucker, a really big one. I'm gonna show you another one. Here's another sucker right here, growing on this tomato plant. And for what I'm doing, this is the ideal size. This is even a little bit big, but because I want to grow a whole new plant, this is a really good size. So I'm gonna take my scissors again, chop it off. Normally I would catch it, but you know, you can see that here's another little sucker. So normally I pinch them off when they're small. I try to catch them even smaller than this. That guy got away from me. But I come out every day and check for these little suckers and pull them off. But these two I've been letting grow because I had two plants that fell over and I wasn't sure if I would need some backup. So I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do to these plants now. Okay, we're in the greenhouse. I have a jar of water here. I just used an old pickle jar. And then these plants that we just snipped off, the suckers. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim the bottom leaves off. Take that little sucker out. This is just garbage. And then I think I'm going to leave that. I could probably take this one off. We'll see. And I'm going to take these flowers off that are on here. It's hard to do that, but I'm going to stick this guy in this water, and now he's going to start growing roots from that stem. And I pulled those flowers off so that the plant could focus all of its energy on making new roots instead of trying to push off tomatoes when the poor thing just got decapitated pretty much. So make sure you're taking off those suckers on there so they're not focused, so they're using all of their energy to push out new roots. Same thing with this one. I'm going to go ahead and clip this guy off. I'll probably end up taking that branch off of this bigger one. Get those little baby suckers out. Now that one you don't want to take out because that's a sucker. So this is a sucker and this is the main part of the plant, I believe. If you take off the wrong part though, your plant will just stop growing and then you'll need those suckers for the plant. You'll stunt your plant and you'll need the sucker to keep going. I'm going to leave this for now until I can better see what's a sucker and what's the plant, but I am going to pinch those flowers off. It's okay to do that. Alright, so those are in the water. I'm going to leave them out here in the greenhouse so we can watch their progress, but those things are going to shoot out roots so quickly. It's going to be incredible. And from my experience, when you propagate a tomato plant like this, it grows so much quicker compared to tomato plants started from seed. I don't know why. It's unknown to me. I'm sure there's a scientific reason, but this is a great way to add tomato plants to your garden mid-season when you're in a pinch like I am. Back out by the tomatoes, I did just want to show you how I'm using this trellis system. When I come out here to check on my plants every day, I check the tomatoes and I very gently just wind them around the twine. It is very hard doing this one-handed, but see how I just wrapped it around there? So as it grows up, I just continue to wrap it around so it grows up the twine, and that twine is what's supporting it. I've really liked this trellis system so far, especially for pruned plants. Now if you had those suckers growing out and you don't prune them, I'm not sure that this trellis system would work for you, because I noticed for that one back there that was getting really big, there was no way to support it. So I think this would only work for plants that you plan to train to grow up and plan to take those suckers off of. I just saw these tomatoes. Look how big those are getting. It's really exciting. Okay, the other exciting part out here in this bed are the cucumbers. They're growing like crazy. And look at this guy. This guy, I might pick him because I want to eat a cucumber. We have him and this one right here. So you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and just pick these guys. So to pick these, it would be easier just to use my shears, trim it off, but since I'm one-handed here, I just twisted it very gently until it came off. Now look at that. I have a little baby cucumber, which is going to be so crisp and so good. Really excited to eat this. And I'm gonna come back and pick this guy with my scissors. But look at all of these cucumbers. And look at how cute they are when they're little babies. The squash is looking pretty thirsty right now. I've been battling squash bugs. I come out here every day to check for them, to try to catch them before the eggs hatch. And I'm, keeping up with it the best that I can. But overall, the squash is doing pretty well, and something that I found the other day that I'm really excited about is my little acorn squash set of fruit. So hopefully that will keep growing the way it's supposed to. I'm really excited about that. Okay, the last thing that I want to do today for our garden tour is harvest the radish that I grew. This has been in the ground too long. It's starting to go to seed, probably because it's been so hot, and I knew it was supposed to mature in about 25 days, but 25 days-ish went by, and I thought, oh, maybe it could get bigger. I didn't mark when I planted this, which is a lesson that I learned this year, is for things that you're gonna wanna keep growing and grow quickly, mark a date. So I'd never grown radish before, so I didn't really know what to look for, and this is an organic variety, so maybe it grows smaller, I don't know. But on the radish that I grew more recently, I just marked the date that I planted it, so when I think, oh, this might be ready to harvest, I can check that date and see, yeah, it's been 25 days, let's go ahead and harvest. This has probably been about 5 weeks, which is too long if it's ready in 25 days. So we're gonna pull it. Not sure what I'm gonna get. Probably change the flavor a little bit, but if I roast it, I think it's gonna be good. So here's our first one. Not doing too good. It's just this teeny tiny root that didn't really grow well. We have another one like that, and this one started to go to seed. I don't know if that's related or not. And another one. All right, here is a good one. Here's a good one. This is still a little bit smaller than I was expecting, but like I said, I'd never grown them before, so I don't know, but this is enough to be able to roast or, roast it, cook with it. This is good size, so we'll see what else we get. Here's a nice one. Now that is a nice looking radish. Alright, we're back in the greenhouse because I want to lay out the radishes on the table so we can look at them. They smell really good. Alright, so this was our radish harvest. Was it what I was expecting? Not really. I was expecting more to look more closely to these guys. I really wasn't expecting these smaller ones, and so I'll do some research to see what happened. I'm wondering, my soil this year, because building the garden, I built all 10 raised beds this year and got them filled and created this whole area. So I was scrambling. I didn't know if I'd even have a garden this year. The soil is not ideal. It's really just topsoil with some chicken manure mixed in. it's likely that the soil was too compact for these to grow. That's one of my hypotheses. The others, maybe it just didn't have the right fertilization to get to the right size. Watering also could have been a factor. I kind of water shallow every day, which isn't usually suggested. Usually a more deep watering every few days is recommended from what I'm learning for majority of plants. But for my setup, that's not doable for me. So my attitude towards gardening is you do your best and you do what you can with what you have, and you get what you get. And this is what I got from what I could do this year. And overall, I'm really happy with that. First time growing radishes. Was it 100% success? Yes and no. They aren't all full size, but I grew radishes, and that's pretty awesome. So don't be afraid to fail in gardening. There's always a lesson to learn, so there's really never a complete loss. Even if you don't end up with any harvest at all. I'm pretty impressed with this. I'm really excited. I'm going to soak these in water because watching Roots and Refuge, she says you can get more life out of it if you don't plan on eating them right when you bring them inside. So I'll bring these in, I'll soak them in water, and then we'll probably roast them up for dinner. Probably not a whole lot to be able to save, but these are going to be tasty, and I'm really excited to try them roasted. Thank you so much for joining me today on my garden tour and mini harvest. This has just been so much fun for me, and I hope you've been enjoying it too, and maybe learning a little bit along the way. If you'd like to catch up on any garden tours you may have missed, they'll be linked down below, or you can go to my channel. Please be sure to subscribe if you'd like to be notified of updates or videos that I post. You can also find more on my blog, DianaMarieHome.com, and I'm also on Instagram at DianaMarieHome, and I share daily updates there. Recently I've been sharing Lola waking up in the morning, which has been pretty funny. Also, thank you so much, Sherry at Country in the City. She also has a YouTube channel, so I'll link her below. She's the one that helped me with figuring out the dusty mildew on the squash and the bug problem in the lettuce garden. So thank you again, and thank you for being here and sticking around. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next week.